afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming, for being here today with us. You know, it's actually really important to create initiatives as youth, as young people around the world to make change happen, but it's equally important to listen to other people's stories and encourage them to make change happen as a society, all of us. So this is why we're introducing the Society for All Stories from Across Borders. So as Global Young Voices, we launched a competition earlier this year, and we had young people around the world submit their stories to our platform. Stories of sustainability initiatives and things they did that helped shape their communities and help them create actual change. So we had to pick, we were blown away by the amazing initiatives that we received from people from all over the world. But we had to choose 4 people. So that's why today with us we have a diverse team of young people from Turkey. So we're about to start. I'm going to give the floor to them, and thank you so much again for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you, dear delegates. My name is Roberto Cornis, and I come from Italy. I am a Global Young Voices Sustainability Project Coordinator. And today, I'd like to introduce you to Sankar Mohan Sharma, a 17-year-old Indian man who has been awarded as India's youngest crime reality leader. I'm sure the speech you are going to listen to will give you many inspirations to start making an impact. The reality we now face implores us to act. So please welcome Sankar Mohan Sharma.
Hi everybody, good morning. You're having a good time? Yeah. So I'm going to go straight into it. Like Alberto said, my name is Sankar Mohan Sharma and I am from India. I'm 16 years old, I go to high school and I turned 17 this month. So I'm working for climate change and water conservation in India, and through my presentation I'll tell you guys a little bit more about what I do. So back in middle school, when I was in middle school, I always loved doing a lot of extracurricular activities, you know. So there were 2 clubs back then. One was called the EPIC and the other was called the CMCA, which is an abbreviation for Children's Movement for Civic Awareness. And I joined both these clubs, and they're both environment related. So we did a lot of activities in our school, like Green Olympiads, or we taught whatever we learned in our environmental classes, we taught that to our junior classes. So we get an experience of even teaching what we're learning. And we also did small campaigns, like on annual day of our school or sports day, we would do waste segregation. And the biggest campaign I did in school was on sports day, we did waste segregation, after which we sent 1 ton of Tetra packs for recycling to the Terry organization. So that's how it all started. You know, as and when I got to know more and more about the environment, I started developing a lot of questions in my mind. Why is everyone so worried about climate change? Why is everyone talking about global warming? Why are political parties involved in this? Why is everyone fighting about this? And I even reached a point where my teachers couldn't answer my questions. So that's when, you know, being a public speaker, I listened to a lot of TED Talks. So that's when I came across Sir Al Gore's TED Talk. And that answered a lot of my questions about these issues. So that's when, you know, my entire story started. Now to explain these first 4 pictures to you, the first one on the top left corner is me in South Korea last month. I was actually there for this International Youth Forum, but I also wanted to learn about their waste segregation techniques and water conservation techniques. So that's me segregating waste for more than 5,000 South Koreans in 1 day. I mean, so I don't only want to limit my work to India, but I want to, you know, make a global impact and work globally. The second one, the second picture on the top is me with some of the youth of India, but from the rural background. So I did like a drawing competition to know what do these children really know about the issues of water, you know. Do they know enough about why water is such a big problem in India, why we need to conserve water in India? And I mean, I saw some really great paintings. People, they demonstrated through their pictures how people were dying, how water shortage was a big problem. So I actually had a drawing competition, and that was a great success because I got to learn so much from them. 5 and 6 years old taught me so much. The third picture is of me giving my first ever radio interview on Red FM 93.5. So I was actually invited for a 2-hour interview on the Red FM, and I spoke about climate change. And in India, pollution is one of the biggest problems. Like our capital city, Delhi, is called the most polluted city in the world. So I actually spoke about the importance for climate change. I spoke against the climate deniers who deny the fact that climate change is a big problem. And while I was giving my interview, we got to know that 7 million people from across India were listening to it. So that was another great achievement, that I could, involve so many people and tell them about my story. The last picture is a water conservation campaign I did, the biggest campaign that I've ever done in my life, and I'll tell you guys a little more about that in my coming slides. So the Climate Reality Project, while I was watching Sir Al Gore's TED Talk, I came across this organization of his called the Climate Reality Project, and I enrolled myself for it as a volunteer. So I did a couple of volunteering programs. I would sign petitions as in when they send me something. I would take part in local programs in my city, in my country, and eventually I applied for the Climate Reality Leadership Training Program in Houston, Texas. Now at this training program, the people that get selected to represent their countries are generally scientists or sustainability experts or environmentalists who have a lot more experience in these fields. But at the age of 15, I got selected to represent India at this conference. And I was trained by some of the most well-known environmentalists. I was trained by Dr. Robert Bullard, who is called the father of environmental justice. I was trained by Dr. Susan E. Pacheco. She's the first ever woman recipient of the Green Ring Award, and also won the Champions of Change Award from Barack Obama in the White House. And also I was, trained by the magnanimous personality, Sir Al Gore himself. The second picture, that's Robert Swan. Does anyone know who Robert Swan is? No? So Robert Swan is the first man ever to walk on the North Pole and the South Pole. And he leads the 2041 expedition every year, where there are some people traveling, where he selects some people and takes them for an expedition to the Arctic in the first half of the year and the Antarctic in the second half. So I am working with him now, and whenever I do campaigns, he even takes those campaigns all the way to the North Pole and the South Pole. So yeah, climate reality is something that's part of my entire journey with climate change and working as a climate reality leader. And at the end of the 3-day training program, I became India's youngest climate reality leader at the age of 15 last year. Since then, I have been giving presentations and speeches across India about climate change. I'm trying to tell people as much as I can about the importance, people of every strata of the society, of all age groups. And this is actually the Shishu Mandir in Bangalore, which is where I live in India. And over there, this school is actually a school of underprivileged children and a lot of orphans. So they are given free education here, and I actually did an event for more than 450 children. Yeah, so a lot of children came out and pledged to conserve water with me, and after this entire event, when I went back to them after a week, these children actually came and told me that, whatever we learned from you, we went and told our friends who aren't in school, we went and told our neighbors, we went and told our teachers about it. Some of them even came and told me that what you told us about closing the taps while we were brushing, we do that now. I mean, these are small steps that they took, but they create a lasting impact. If I could do that in every school, if we guys could do that in our countries, in all the schools, we can imagine what a great impact that would create. So after I became the climate reality leader, the biggest campaign I ever did in India was called the Walk for Water. The CEO of Walk for Water actually came down to meet me in Bangalore, and he offered the position of Karnataka state head to me. Once again, all the other state heads were like my granddad's age. They had so much more experience in these fields, and then again I was 16 years old leading the entire state. It was a great experience. The two main objectives of the state head: one, to involve as many celebrities as we can, and the second was to create a very, very large-scale walk on the 20th of March, which is World Water Day. As for the celebrities, I met so many. I met actors, actresses, I met education leaders, I met government officials, ministers, I met so many sports legends. Like, for example, let's say if we got Michael Jordan to come out and talk about water conservation. All his fans would want to, conserve water because Michael Jordan's doing it. We look up to him. We want to do it as well. So for water conservation, I got like the Indian cricketer Virat Kohli. He took off this pledge, and when he did it, so many of his fans wanted to do it. So that way we create a larger impact. And secondly, as for the walk, every state got some senior minister of their state, like the Minister of Irrigation or the Minister of Environment, and I was able to get the Chief Minister down to do the entire walk. And there were 1,500 people that came down to the walk, and this was covered by almost every news channel across India and also every newspaper. Now, what I believe is that we don't really need to educate only one part of the society. I think we should educate and bring this message out to every strata. So I also did a campaign and an event with the Indian Army where I did a complete event for more than 250 soldiers in Bangalore of the Corps of Military Police, and they pledged to conserve water. I mean, these guys are on the borders all the time. They're risking their lives to save our countries, and they are still working on this. So I mean, if they can do it, why not us? And when they agreed to conserve water and spread the message, it added a lot of positivity to our entire campaign. Lastly, last month I actually got invited to the International Youth Fellowship Leaders Conference in South Korea, where there are about 100 students selected from across the world to represent their countries, and I was selected to represent India. We were divided into 10 groups, and each group was given a country, and you have to find the biggest problem those countries are facing and make a solution for it. So my team got the countries of Southeast Asia, which is Indonesia and Philippines, and we found the biggest problem there is water pollution, because water bodies are surrounded by houses and residencies, but the back part of these houses. So the garbage directly goes into the water. So we made a simple and easy project which could easily be implemented and would still clean the water there. We presented our project to the ministers of youth of more than 120 countries that were present here, and also the world education leaders. And at the end of this, out of the 10 projects, our project got the Outstanding and Best Project Award, and is actually going to be implemented in the coming few months in Indonesia and Philippines. So I mean, I just want to tell you guys that I am 16 years old, I have high school, I study all the time. I study all day just so I can work all night. I mean, like really, that's the only way you can create change. That's why I'm standing here today. I just feel that if I can do it at the age of 16, then all of you guys that are selected here for this youth assembly are also leaders of your countries. And I believe that in the coming future, we should do a sustainable development campaign, not only for our countries, but let's do a global campaign where someone's working for education, someone's working for equality, gender equality, I'm working for climate change. What I do in my country, you guys can do in your countries. I can learn from you and you can learn from me. And that way, let's together achieve the 2030 agenda of sustainable development.
An Italian contributor of Global Young Voices and weekly news reporter. Now I'm going to introduce a 19-year-old millennial from Nigeria who will talk about the effort he's putting to end violations against women in his country. As some leaders and campaigns already active to ensure this effort and the reaching of this goal are trying to communicate to the world, gender equality is not only a women's issue, but a women's right we need to achieve. We need to put effort, everyone together. So please join me in welcoming Kennedy Kelsey Joseph.
Who really am I? Every one of us seated in this room today has at one point or the other asked ourselves this question. As a young man and student thinking about the future, it dawned on me that I needed to examine critically what my role is in shaping my community, my country, Nigeria, and the global society at large. So I'm here today to talk to you how a series of negative experiences, a complex web of negative experiences led me to becoming a youth and gender activist in Nigeria. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Nigeria, a country that is marred by violence of so many sorts, no matter how subtle it is. It is very common in Nigeria for you to hear stories of fathers who stopped sending their daughters to school, or of women who were killed by their husbands. Simply put, in Nigeria, being a female is the social equivalent of having violate me boldly inscribed on your forehead. And that is a problem that I set out to address in my country, Nigeria. This problem and seeking a solution to it is one that affects me in a way that is complex and intricate because as a result of the very conservative nature of the society, a lot of people wonder, why exactly are you someone who is a teenager in view of the largely ageist stereotypes that exist in the Nigerian social and leadership culture and the conservative nature of the society venturing into such a thing as women's rights at all? You should be doing better things with your time. I founded the Calabar Youth Council for Women's Rights with my friends to create advocacy and awareness about gender-based violence and to explore access to rights for women in the areas of female genital mutilation, gender-based violence, domestic abuse, rape, and access to education for the girl child in Nigeria. The CYCWR, as it's called, targets community members and young people to create awareness and educate them in order to enable them get rid of their perspectives about gender for us to eradicate the problem of gender-based violence. Currently, we are working with the legislature in Cross River State, the legislative arm of government, to actively domesticate anti-FGM laws because these laws have been enacted in the parliament since 2015, but the enforcement are usually lacking. So our organization currently is working with the legislature of the state to actively domesticate these laws. Specifically, we are drafting a bill for legislative absorption that will include anti-gender-based violence and anti-female genital mutilation pedagogy in the curricula of all secondary schools in the Cross River State where I live and work. And furthermore, to compulsorily create gender clubs for these students, because when students are accustomed to respecting women from when they are still young, there's no way they'll do this when they get old. So that is why we necessarily need gender clubs in all schools in Cross River State, Nigeria, where I live and work. We work with the broader African network led by the Girl Generation to amplify stories of change of individuals and organizations within the Africa-led movement to end female genital mutilation and gender-based violence, which is a problem in my country. Over 20 million women in Nigeria are victims of female genital mutilation. I know 20 million sounds like what Donald Trump spent on hair job, but it's actually, factually, what's the number of people in Nigeria who are victims of female genital mutilation. And one of our goals is to ensure that women can actively report instances of female genital mutilation and gender-based violence. So through our partners in rural communities, women will be able to do this, and to ensure that women can use, and people, both men, can use technological tools to report female genital mutilation and other sorts of gender-based violence. We are currently working with Seraphis to build a mobile platform for individuals to report instances and incidents of gender-based violence, including attaching photo, audio, or video evidence. Seraphis is a social enterprise owned by young Nigerian entrepreneur Kachinwani, and it will also provide law enforcement agents with a report management system for them to have adequate access to information in order for us to ensure deterrence and, beyond that, adequate arbitration of justice for victims of gender-based violence who in the status quo do not get any justice against their perpetrators who perpetrate this act against them. I believe in a world where we have a culture of peace and not just peace treaties. So we are trying to achieve a society where we do not have peace treaties, we move beyond peace treaties to create a culture of peace. Because when there's a culture of peace, irrespective of gender, irrespective of the sexes of individuals, irrespective of your social status and inclination, we would foster and build sustainable structures for peace and growth in the society. As a matter of fact, in the course of my work, I've worked with various women who are inspiring and outstanding. And very remarkable amongst them is Ms. Mirabel Mora, the Director of Operations of the Calabar Youth Council for Women's Rights. There she is. She owns a social enterprise known as Blank Papers, where she empowers young people to express parts of their personality by telling stories of change that they otherwise would not be able to. And she teaches young female students in secondary schools how to use music, writing, and art to express themselves and express parts of their personality. Her work has been recognized by the US Department of State and President Obama's Young African Leaders Initiative. And she's a great example of a female who is redefining what it means to be a female in Nigeria and in Africa at large. And I'm very proud to be working with her. I believe that for us to build sustainable structures of peace and growth as a society, all hands must be on deck. And this is something that is very important given the nature of the society I come from. So what I want us to take away from my story and the story of the CYCWR, which has succeeded in ending female genital mutilation in partnership with the Girl Generation in over 200 communities in Africa. And just last week, female genital mutilation was banned in Boki local government area of Cross River State, where I live and work. And that is a story that inspires me and yielding to continue my work. As a global community, conclusively, if we are to ever build sustainable structures of peace and growth, which are the requisites for growth of individuals and the society, it can never ever be founded on the morally reprehensible principle of exclusion of individuals on the basis of their gender. And we all in this room from various countries must act in our societies, because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Thank you.
Hi there, distinguished delegates. My name is Robert Kane. I am a Global Young Voices contributor from the UK, and as some of you will probably have seen, I'm also an interview presenter as well. So our next speaker hails from Turkey and has been making quite the impact on our local community at just 16 years of age. So the Humans First Club is an initiative that simply aims to bring change slowly but surely. So they assisted numerous Alzheimer's patients, and they've also worked to bring education to local communities. And the thing about the Humans First Club is that although it's a fairly small group of people, it shows that change, however small it may be, can grow and grow into something greater. And as a result, the Humans First Club has also gained further recognition outside of Turkey. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jaylene Senir to the stage.
First of all, I want to say, although we're a small group, we're actually not that small. We're actually 30 people now, and it was founded this year in March. So we are now getting closer to our goal, and I'm so honored to be here in front of you today to talk about our program. And my story actually didn't start now, but thousands of years ago, with the birth of my great-grandfather, as you may know him maybe, Jalaluddin Rumi. Yeah. And being brought up with his ideas of inclusion and love for everyone, no matter where they come from, no matter what their race is or gender, it doesn't matter. We're all human, and also in a part of a community, my school, the Hill School, where lots of people from different countries were studying in, also provided me with a positive environment where I could continue following my passions on helping people. And when we were first starting, we were reminded of a story that really affected the foundation of our club. As you can see here, there's an elephant, and some people gathered to exhibit an elephant in a big room. But as the place was too dark to permit them to see the elephant, they all felt the elephant with their hands, trying to gain an idea of what it was like. However, each gave a different description of what this thing could be that they didn't know. And one person felt the elephant's trunk and said it must be a water pipe. Another one felt its back and said it must be a great throne. And the other one thought this must be a large fan because of his ears. And according to the department each felt, they all gave different answers, and they totally missed the bigger picture that we all have the privilege to be humans and share this great world. And as we were deciding what area to work on, we said, why not start with the area that needs the most help? And as we were aware of many of our friends' grandparents had Alzheimer's disease, we wanted to work on Alzheimer's to have a bigger impact. And this is one of my friends from my school, and we founded this club this year. And when we founded this club, we were reminded of these 7 quotes, which really made the foundation of our club. In generosity and helping others, be like a river. In compassion and grace, be like the sun. In concealing others' faults, be like the night. In anger and fury, be like the dead. In modesty and humility, be like earth. And in tolerance, be like the sea. Either exist as you are, or be as you look. And to really exist as we were, as a group of eager students from all across the world, from China, Turkey, Canada, USA, we really wanted to help these Alzheimer's patients, because as we went to the Alzheimer's centers, on the first day we saw a beautiful painting by a woman. She was an art teacher, and it was a beautiful painting, and there was a lady that turned her back. And when we asked her what the name of the portrait was, guess what she said? I've never thought of it, but if I did, it would be Lonely Woman. And this really made us feel sad in our hearts, and we said, why not take an action towards helping these elderly? Because if you actually have been to an Alzheimer's center, you could see there are elderly there waiting all day for someone to come visit them. They even thought we were their granddaughters and grandsons when we visited them, and they don't remember anything. So imagine being in a place, in a big place, and you don't even know who you are, where you come from, or who your relatives are, and it's so hard to manage that situation. So we said, why not combine the areas we liked and we were passionate about with the things we do to help these patients, so we can create differences in their lives and form meaningful relationships with them. So we decided to combine music therapy with brain training games and forming good relationships with helping these patients. And we feel so honored to be recognized by the Turkish National Alzheimer's Conference. And we were awarded with the Young Researcher Award. And although I was 16 years old as him, I realized that actually people start noticing the amazing work, and they start joining once they see how much impact it could have. So it's something also you could do and we could do, because it doesn't matter how old we are, how young we are, it's the ideas that matter, and it's about how to take action towards them. And another step was going to the international Alzheimer conference in London this year, and we got to present it there too. And what really mattered to me was that not these achievements are our main point, but we don't want to stop here, because the achievements weren't our goal, but to help as much as people as we could was our main goal. So we didn't want to stop here, and we said, wherever there's human, there's a need to help in inclusion. So as me and my mother were traveling across the city one day, we saw this one little kid on the side of the road, and he was playing with a piece of rope. He had wrapped around one of the city welcoming signs, and that was his only toy. And when we asked him, what are you doing here? He said that he couldn't go to school because he was a seasonal farmer's kid, and he wasn't given the chance to fully be included in the society and to be a doctor, as he said he wanted to be. And we said, why not help these kids, and why not limit our potential impact in the society, but have more projects so we could impact more people. So that was our second project. It was to educate the underserved children in the community. These children, we taught them lessons on English, math, and we also taught them theater and empathy techniques so we could form better relationships with them. And it was a life-changing experience for both me and the members of our club, and we formed great relationships with them, learning about their backgrounds and the stories they have told us. And we're so happy that we learned lots of things from them, and they learned lots of things from us. So this is actually our groups. As you can see, it's not that little, but I want to say that it doesn't matter what group you belong to. It could be coming from different racial groups. It doesn't matter. What we have to do is, as you remember the elephant story I told you, it doesn't matter if we try to describe the elephant one by one, but what we have to do is come together and turn the light of the room, turn on the light to see this elephant we have. And this elephant is inclusion. This elephant is getting rid of our differences in our society. So what we have to do is not look at how old you are, where you come from, but to come together, turn on the light of the room, and see this elephant with the knowledge we have and with the great professional help we got from the teachers also. And I want you to always remember that keep searching, doing what you do and doing what you love. And for example, I was very passionate about working with computers, music, and elderly people. So we combined professional help from the university teachers in Anadolu University with the things we did. But all these achievements, they didn't matter. Yes, there were steps that that showed us we were getting closer to our goal, to eliminating these differences. But what mattered the most was that when we saw those children, although they weren't our sisters and brothers, they felt like we were when we saw their eyes being lit up when we went to play with them. Although those elderly people in the Alzheimer's centers weren't our grandparents, they made us feel like we related to them when we saw how happy they were to see us, and how happy they were to see that someone actually cares about them and supports about them, and their voices are being heard. So I want to encourage you to always be active in the society, and even if it's a small thing, you can always achieve what you want, and you can always create meaningful impacts and help achieve a diverse, culturally diverse society in our community. So thank you so much.
Hello everyone. I'm Christina Butrus from Lebanon, and I am a team member at Global Young Voices as well. Are you ready for the next inspirational story now? Yes? Okay. Now we have the 19-year-old lady from Chicago double majoring in environmental science and economics and minoring in sustainability, co-founded the Mama Farm Foundation. The story of the foundation has begun with the story of her Kenyan friend, Winnie Mangini. How? Let's listen to her. Please help me welcome Angela Pantel.
Hi everyone, thank you all so much for being here today, and thank you to Christina for the kind introduction. As Christina said, my name is Angela Pantel, and I'm so excited and so honored to have the opportunity to talk to you all today about my story and my work with the Mama Farm Foundation. So the Mama Farm Foundation is a pig farm in Western Kenya that I co-founded with one of my classmates from the University of Notre Dame. The story of our foundation begins with the story of my friend and colleague, Winnie Mangini. So this is my friend Winnie. The two of us met during our first year of college, and we started working together. Before coming to Notre Dame, however, Winnie ran away from her home in Mombasa, Kenya at the age of 17 to avoid being married to a man who she would be forced to depend on for finances and who would likely engage in domestic violence. Winnie was able to overcome these obstacles preventing her success, but unfortunately, there are so many young Kenyan women who are unable to do what Winnie did. Because of this, Winnie and I sought to find a suitable way to help young women support themselves and their children financially. As I said, we started the Mama Farm Foundation, which is a pig farm in Bumala, Kenya, and we work closely to improve the farm's management and spread our foundation throughout Kenya and Eastern Africa. We aim to combat a main obstacle preventing women from supporting themselves and their children. Most women don't make enough money to save up to start a business, so they're forced to rely on a potentially abusive husband for finances. How do we combat this problem? Well, at our foundation, instead of taking out a loan with finances that they don't have, the women are given ownership of a sow and pay the foundation back with 2 piglets once the sow bears a litter. This allows the cycle to continue and provides opportunities for more and more women to become involved in our farm. We also provide training opportunities in important leadership and entrepreneurship skills to help the women become more self-sufficient. Our main goal is that the women will be able to use this new source of income to send their children to school so that more and more children are able to receive the invaluable gift of education. So why did we choose pigs for our farm? Well, pigs are an excellent choice, mainly because they reproduce and grow quickly. This makes them a steady source of income throughout the year, making them more valuable to the women than other types of animals or crops that can only be sold once or twice a year. They're also pretty easy to care for, and they provide a wide variety of products and services to humans, ranging from meat for consumption to materials for clothing, just to name a few. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering, what are the problems and challenges that we face at the farm, since certainly we can't be perfect, right? And that's definitely true. The main challenge we face as we try to improve the sustainability of our pig raising is finding a way to produce nutritious food for the pigs on site. We currently purchase expensive and low quality feed like this one. So we currently purchase feeds like this one, and they're very expensive and of poor nutritional quality. So we want to find a way to produce nutritious food for the pigs on site. We want to do this so that we can reduce the environmental and economic costs of transporting food to our farms, and so that we can improve the health of our pigs by avoiding these low-quality foods. Unfortunately, this is much easier said than done because our farm is located in an area of Kenya that has a semi-arid climate, so we have dry soils and a lot of soil erosion. The poor soil quality makes it very difficult for us to grow crops. But how did the soil become so poor? Well, declining soil fertility has accelerated pesticides and other chemicals that are very harmful to the environment and the soils, not to mention the fact that they're very expensive. These practices decrease the amount of nutrients available in the soil and increase the amount of erosion the soils experience. The poor soil quality poses a pressing challenge not only to Western Kenya, but also to areas around the world that are trying to improve food security for their growing populations as well. If we want to successfully grow healthy crops on our land, we need to improve our soil quality. Solving this problem is the focus of my work. Now, I'm primarily a scientist and a researcher by education, so my plan for the farm is naturally deeply rooted in research. Because the causes of poor soil quality are so interdisciplinary, my solutions must be interdisciplinary as well. I am therefore working on an integrative approach that aims to tackle these challenges from every side so that we can address this issue as efficiently and effectively as possible. Through my studies of environmental science and economics, I've learned a lot about both soil management and long-term economic development, and I'm working to incorporate all of this knowledge into my plan for the farm. I'm collaborating with a sustainable farm near my university called Bertrand Farm, where I'm observing their commitment to sustainability and learning how to incorporate some of their practices into our farm. I'll be studying abroad at the University of Western Australia, where I'm planning on undertaking soil science research to help me learn how best to manage soils and improve their fertility in areas faced with soil erosion and nutrient depletion. When Winnie and I travel to Kenya, I will not only be conducting soil testing to determine the management practices we need, but I'll also be conducting ethnopedology research to gain an understanding of traditional, local practices of soil management. Ethnopedology is a field of research that aims to integrate both the natural and social sciences in soil management. Doing so allows us to use all of the knowledge that we have in our plan. Ethnopedology is very important because local people such as these women have been farming the land for thousands of years and have a wealth of knowledge on how to manage the land on a daily basis. This research is also important for ensuring that the solutions we propose are culturally relevant, valuable, and practical to the women we are trying to help. So some environmentally sustainable techniques to improve soil management include, among many others, composting, or transforming waste into beneficial nutrients, and silvopasture, or incorporating trees into livestock pastures. The benefits of these management practices are huge for three main reasons. First, they help improve the ability of soils to remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere, which helps us fight climate change. Second, growing food for the pigs on site nearly eliminates the environmental and economic costs of transporting food to our farms. This allows us to use our funds to continue to grow the network of farms in our foundation and have a much smaller impact on the environment. And third, producing commercial crops provides economic benefits to the young women who can sell the crops, in addition to improving the health of the pigs and the individuals that consume them. These solutions are also very important because they can be customized and applied to farms throughout Kenya and around the world that are experiencing the same problems of water shortages and erosion due to climate change and nutrient depletion due to industrial agriculture. So one simple idea that one young woman had to transform the lives of other young women in her home country has amazingly had the potential to help us achieve so many of the sustainable development goals that we're all here to learn about. Ensuring nutritious food to both pigs and consumers is a huge step in improving human health and well-being. Good health is the first step to educating people so that they can improve their own livelihoods. We highly value education, which is why we are focusing both on gaining wisdom from older generations of Kenyans about the successful and sustainable management of their land, and educating Kenya's young women so that they can pass on this knowledge to their children and future generations. Agriculture as a whole is a huge source of employment and is an effective way to empower the world's young women with new opportunities for economic growth. Industrial agriculture is also one of the largest contributors to climate change, so improving agricultural techniques will help us fight climate change and protect our planet's amazing biodiversity. Winnie and I hope that through our continued dedication to these issues and through the involvement of passionate people like ourselves, we hope that we will be able to spread our foundation to sustain the planet environmentally, economically, and socially, and impact young women for generations to come. Thank you all very much for your time.
Some question and answers with our presenters. So do you have curiosities, questions, or do you have an activity or an NGO that does something similar and you maybe can connect with them? Anybody? Please.
I actually have a question for Kennedy.
Sure.
Speak up loud, because
Okay.
I don't know if the mic works. Does it work?
It worked. It worked.
Press the button.
Yeah.
No, you just have to press it. It doesn't work. Okay, speak loud then.
Okay. So one of your initiatives, which I'm super interested about because I did a lot of research on Africa when I was in college, about genital mutilation. How do you propose to work around the whole it's a cultural thing? Like societies that claim that like genital mutilation is part of their culture. Like how do you propose on like shifting their mindset so that's you get my question?
Yeah, I definitely get that. Generally, it can be achieved through strategic social change communication, and that's why in Nigeria, where I come from, 100 years ago, if you gave birth to twins, for example, they were killed, and it was a cultural practice. But today, that practice is no longer there. But it's about showing people that there are no benefits to genital mutilation and giving them reasons and incentives why they shouldn't do it. And it's the most effective way to get people out of this is by talking to them and showing them the negative effect it has on their daughters and the generations to come. People who suffer from depression and as a result drop out of school and can't function well in society and suffer stigma in their societies, like when they move out to societies where people who are not mutilated parents. So that's the best and most effective way to get people to stop doing it. Show them the harms of doing it and tell them like how wonderful and awesome it is when they don't do it. And so far, that is how we as the girl generation have actively done it in the communities we have done it in. Yeah.
More questions?
Sure. Still for me? Okay.
Okay. Oh, there it goes. My question is for Angela. Okay. So since both you and Kenya are going to school like at an anonymous States, how do you manage your business, which is in Kenya?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So as I mentioned, we do a lot of work to teach the women like entrepreneurship and leadership skills so that they can manage everything when we're not there. Since like we're here all the time, we teach them how to manage it, and that provides more opportunities for them to have more employable skills in the future. So yeah, that's a great question.
More questions?
Yeah. Camilla.
Yes, please.
This Humans First. My name is Jessica Kawandekuri, and I am from Zambia, and I live in Maryland.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, and it's not a question, it's actually, I just want to commend you for what you do. I work with senior adults who have memory loss issues, and I'm a mental health major, studying mental health. And on the 14th of October, we actually have a walk. We're walking against, well, we're fighting Alzheimer's. Yeah. So on the 14th of October, we actually have a walk against Alzheimer's in DC. So I commend you for what you do, being young and being interested in issues that are affecting aging adults is really, really
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we are also that's amazing. I mean, seeing many people taking awareness, taking some action towards Alzheimer's is awesome. Is it in DC? Is it going to be in DC?
Yes, it is in DC on the 14th of October.
Maybe we can talk later this and we can see how we can maybe get more people to the walk. Okay. Because we were also planning to do a walk in New York too.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Okay, some more questions?
We have more questions.
Back here. Yes. Oh, sorry. She was waiting. I'm sorry.
I can speak loud. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Hi, I'm Isri. I'm from Sri Lanka, but I go to university here in New York. It's actually for you. I work for a nonprofit called Music in Memory, and we work with using personalized music, so we don't necessarily call it music therapy. We work with personalized music in nursing homes all around the U.S., and we've just grown to UK and Australia. We're trying to expand. We're trying to expand through Europe as well, so I'd be more than happy to talk to you. And one of the obstacles we're facing right now is, I'm an intern, but one of the obstacles we're facing is trying to make this an issue that's not only for the aging people, but also try to get the youth as engaged as possible, because these are our grandparents and we've grown so much through them, and this is a problem that's going to keep happening if we don't resolve it now. So.
Yeah, as the living span is getting more and more longer, there are more people actually getting the Alzheimer's. So I know what you mean. As the youth, we can sometimes like ignore the stuff that doesn't resonate to us and not see the big picture. So I think it's more about showing how these elderly, but while including them in the society, how that could change our community will be more effective once the youth can see, oh, these people have actually more experience than us. Although we are faster, although we have passion, they have more knowledge than us. So if we incorporate and put them back into our community, then we will be sustainable and great society. So I hope that will help, and I would love to talk to you after this. Good luck with your work.
More questions? You at the back.
Hello. So I'm Clarence. I'm from the Philippines, and my question is for Walk for Water. Yeah, since you're younger than most of us in this room, you're just 16, right? How did you make the people in India listen to you, considering that you're younger than many of all the people, most of the people in India? How do you make them follow you, and what steps did you do to make them listen to you and follow your programs for the people of India?
Thanks, Dil. That's actually a great question. I mean, if I had some more time for the presentation, I wanted to talk about the biggest problems I face. And honestly, the biggest problem I face is people not taking me seriously because of my age, you know. They think I'm a 16-year-old and I can't do it.
I can relate.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's a great question, but what I like to do is, I have my presentation which I give out, and also, if I can meet someone in person, I have some really good convincing skills. Like, I can convince people to work with me. Like, honestly, that's how it works. I mean, even with the Walk for Water, when I had to get celebrities down, you can't just directly go and approach the Indian cricket team captain and be like, you can't even go meet him, you know, because there's so many procedures and things like that. But as in when you start telling people, as in when you tell them that how, if they were involved, how it is their job, and I'm only going to help them do their job better, because it's also their job to protect human rights, it's also their job to work for the water, because the villages in India are not mine, it's not like they're my villages. They're living in India as well, so it's equally their work. So when I get a chance, if I get a chance to talk directly to anyone, that's how I convince people with, I don't know, my speeches or my presentations or through my talks. So that's how I get people to join me. Yeah.
More questions? There's someone in the back. Yeah.
I can yell, I guess.
Yeah, speak loud.
Mr. Kennedy, my name is Farsha. I'm working with the Alberta Associations of Sexual Assault Centers in order to create a education initiative among Alberta youth in order to provide comprehensive sex ed to address sexual assaults on college campuses. Our path is a little bit murky at the moment. We're trying to figure out whether we want to go through a private route where we have to allocate our own resources, or there's an alternative method of like they're asked that we would provide resources for students like myself to run for student council positions in our university, where resources are already available, and obtain support in order to make the initiative possible. I was wondering which approach would you recommend?
Thank you very much. Actually, it depends on the unique nature of your campus. There's no one way to do it. Actually, you could utilize all the ways. If you have a team, one person could run for student council. But what I'll say is I'll specifically advise that maybe you talk to the university management if you have an organization, put your team together, and where I come from at least, they like to see documents, put documents together, and you should have a very strong value proposition as to why it would better position the image in the best light internationally for them to have a more sexually diverse campus, more sexually diverse content in terms of their courses. So I think all of that is very useful. Lobby the media, use radio agencies, campus radio, use a lot of that, post make posters around school. All of these things enable people carry on the conversations about these things. So even if it doesn't at the moment change what people think about sexual abuse or sexual awareness, it enables people to talk about this. It creates conversations, and conversations are the easiest way for people to attain mental and cognitive reorientation. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
More questions?
My question is for everyone. So what do you think is the biggest factor which stops other youth not doing what you guys are doing? Because you all are very active in your cause. So besides the topic you said about not being taken seriously because of your age, what do you think is the main reason why there's not 10 of us standing there instead of 4? Like anything.
Oh. Okay, I mean, I'll try. I can't answer the question as to why there are not 10 of us studying here. You should ask her. But you should understand that my answers are from the society I live in and where I come from. So my answers are like context dependent. But what I'll say is a lot of youths don't take things seriously. And that's in addition to the fact that we are not taken seriously. But I'll say it's more of a matter of agency. Like, are youth really willing to do this? Last week in my country, the Not Too Young to Run bill was passed, which reduces the age to contest for public office and all of that. But like, that does very little to scratch the surface of non-participation of youth in public affairs and all of that. So we are over 180 million in Nigeria, and very, very, very few youths are actually interested in doing things that contribute to the development of society, like the climate, like women's rights, like Alzheimer's. Maybe we forget that we get old and suffer all of these things, but I'll say that most youths do not get involved in all of these at the rate in which we should be getting involved in them.
All right, more questions?
I don't think it was. My question is for Kennedy. Kennedy, I heard you work with Girls Project. Now, I just want to specifically ask something, especially based in South Africa. So in South Africa, what's been happening is that girls have been being raped by men, girls have been burnt. It's the statistics that have been going on this, it's been crazy. So girls feel, especially in the program that I'm in, Big Sister program, girls feel, and the one that I have, Unashamed, girls have conversations where they can't trust men. They don't want men, even in their spaces, they don't want men's help. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel when you're a guy, especially leading a women's organization? Do you get stereotypes that maybe you're trying to, I don't know, how does it feel when you're a man leading it? Do you feel like does it seem like you want to get the girls' approval, or is it really genuine?
Okay, I perfectly understand that, and I have a small story. Like 2 weeks ago, some lady that schools at University of Cambridge added me on Facebook and sent a lot of distasteful comments as to why I'm the head of the women's rights organization, and that I'm hijacking the movement of women. That was something like what she said, and I guess that's the question you're asking. But what I'll say is, I'm a man, and I and other men in Nigeria, and indeed all around the world, are custodians of patriarchy. So we have that moral obligation to act. And if we don't act, it's really not going to get better. So the thing is, if men see me speaking about it, like, they go back into their corners and, oh, maybe I should, act better, I should act right about it. And it's very easy for women when they are feminists to get dismissed as people who are just bitter or angry, and you understand what happens in Nigeria, and I perfectly understand the context of South Africa you're talking about, where women are raped weekly, daily, and the rights of women is really terrible there. So it is, my actions is born out of a moral obligation that I have to act. It's just like my break that I'm contributing to the entire edifice of social inclusion. Yeah, thank you.
Can you turn the mic on? Does it work?
My name is Sebastian from Nigeria. I'm very proud of you, young man, for the initiative that you're leading, promoting the rights of women in Nigeria. In the US here, I have an organization that promotes the rights of older women, not younger women, who are refugees that have suffered as a means of violent terrorism in Syria, Iran, and other parts of West India. But there's something I want to talk to the general youths in this house, not just the people at the front, is that for us to be able to achieve our goal as youths, because a lot of people are saying, how can people listen to us when we are this young? For people to listen to you when you are young is to align with intergenerational politics between the old and the young. It is high time we stop separating ourselves that we are youths, and it is time for us to take action because it concerns us. It also concerns the old because one day youths will become old and you'll be demanding what the older people demand now, and you will not be able to have it because younger people will demand what you are demanding for now. I don't know if you get the concept of what I'm trying to say. So let's use the available opportunity of mentors we have around us, people who are a little bit experienced in our various professions, align with them because you cannot do it on your own. People would not want to listen to you if your allies are not strong enough to break into the political circle. It is something that is happening in our generation, and I want you all to take notice of that, that you must work with people who are very experienced in their field, as well as to give you a platform for your voice to be heard. Thank you.
Okay. So I have a question for Angela. Hi. Hi. So I understand that you don't live in Kenya, right?
Right.
So I also actually have a nonprofit that I manage, I guess, long distance, you could say. So how, what ways do you use to connect with the women, and how do you find them? Because they're not always actively looking for help, or they don't know where to look.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the first part of your question was about like how do we manage and stuff. So it's actually not that hard because, you know, we're in a very like global world. It's very easy for us to reconnect with the people that we work with back in Kenya. So with Minnie's parents, with our other co-founder who lives in Kenya, with the women, it's actually very easy for us to communicate. And finding the women, most of the women, I think most of the women, we found them because they're looking for opportunities. So I understand that you're concerned of we should be looking for more women who maybe aren't actively seeking these opportunities, but would be great fits. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Thank you.
Okay, so one last question.
Here.
Okay, go ahead.
The last call. Okay, let's see. Anyways, hi. Well, first of all, good job, all of you. You did an amazing job. He said last question, so I'll merge it into one. My name is Vida Fair from Ghana. I live in Chicago. So pretty much you live here, Angela, right?
Yes.
Okay. I really appreciate the fact that, of course, we are looking more into the underprivileged countries and stuff, but I can confidently state that what can we also add to all of which that you are doing? The reason being that I live in Chicago, and I can tell you for a fact that right now, I feel like even some people, young people that live in the south side of Chicago, even need more help than when I go back to Ghana, and the youth are even living in flashy cars. They are not getting education. They are on the streets. Gunshots left and right. Somebody needs to talk to them. So, this is for us all. But what do you think? Because you are out there already. I'm available. But sometimes it just saddens me that we sometimes forget about our very home. And then we're looking out there, then probably if we're not careful, by the time we come back, then our own soil is also messed up. So how can we bridge the two and then, fit it in between? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. That's a really excellent point. And being from Chicago, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen probably many of the same things you've seen. And I visited several urban farms in Chicago in my life. So yeah, I agree. It's really important to focus on the issues at home as well. So in the future, that's something I would really, really be interested in doing. To you're right, to bridge the gap between what we see at home, what we see other places, so that we can make the biggest impact possible. So I very much agree, and something I want to do in the future.
Thanks.
Thank you.
end of our session. After that, we will have some networking and you can come up and ask more questions to our speakers. But the objective of this session was really to give you an understanding of what Global Young Voices does. And this is what we really do. We share the stories of young people like you that have had an impact on their society. And I'm sure that all of you have their own stories like all the other delegates. So I encourage you to do two things. One, submit your story to us because we want to give you visibility. We want to share your story with the world, and we want to inspire other people in other countries or in your country to do the same thing you are doing. And the second thing I encourage you to do is look out in the assembly, in this room, for people that are doing something similar to you. For example, Kennedy's working for FGM, and I know you won the contest at FGU.
My team.
Exactly, in your team.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, why don't you come together, exchange thoughts, and maybe you can start working together. Because this is another opportunity that Global Young Voices offer, to connect you with other people that are pursuing similar initiatives, so that you can work together, bring together your skills, and achieve your goals together. Thank you very much.